Hello! Today on my grandpa's train we're going to unbox this package that arrived. This actually is not for me. It's a custom repair. Let's see what's inside and we'll test it out. Then we'll take it to the workbench and see what needs to be done to it. All right, we have Lionel. This is the Texas Special locomotive, and it needs new belts and a tune-up. Oh, this is also a powered locomotive. So we've actually got two powered A units. These are the Alco FAs. Looks like one's missing a coupler. And this is the non-powered version. Don't have to do a whole lot to that. So this is another B locomotive, and this one is also non-powered, although this one has metal wheels, so that is interesting. So we've got two complete Alco FA sets, and we have this is a Hustler made by Lionel. They actually put a die-cast chassis on this. This is the radioactive car with the flashing light inside. So, all right, that is that. Well, we're over here on the layout getting ready to test these locomotives. Let's see, make sure this one's on the track. Turn on our power transformer. The motor runs in this one, it kind of growls. Let's try the other one. We'll put this in the back. Same deal, they both work. Actually, so the two Alco locomotives, all they really need is new drive belts and they should be good to go. Let's take a look at this radioactive waste car. Let's see if, not really getting anything out of that. So I'll have to diagnose that. And then we have the little yellow Hustler style locomotive. Not really getting anything out of this. So, and this one is a direct drive, so it's the motor in the middle and then just straight to the gears. Actually, a better design in my opinion than using the belts. But anyway, let's take these over to the bench and see if we can make them go. Okay, we've got our Seaboard car. Let's give it some little juice here and see if we can get the light to light up. Ah, nothing. All right, so this cap will pry off. It's kind of snapped around this base, pops off like that. And this is the standard kind of the 2-pin bulbs that Lionel used. So this bulb comes right out just like that. This car has a problem getting power from the wheels to the spring pin. This will come off too. Comes off quite easily. You just slide up these pins. So, and then it's transmits power through this spring coil assembly doodad. They use this in the chicken car or the poultry dispatch as well. And that is, but yeah, for some reason power is not getting from the wheels to these. So let me get up my meter and I'll see what I can come up with. I went scrounging around for other bulbs because I actually have another Lionel HO locomotive myself. And this bulb is the correct shape, but is not reliable and only works half the time. So I have a poultry dispatch car with 2 light bulbs, and I borrowed one because both of those are still good, just to do the testing. And it looks like everything works now. So we'll hook up the power to the wheels underneath. So I'm actually just going to go right to the pins underneath the wheels, and the car is fixed. All right, next up is the little yellow locomotive, and to get inside this, it's pretty easy. You just pry apart the sides gently, and then the shell slides right off the frame. And now we're inside. Now we're going to get to repairing this motor. In order to get the motor out of the frame, there's 2 screws, one here and here, and then this side frame slides right off. You have to be gentle when you do that because there are side springs in the wheels, and you don't want those to go flying all over the place. All right, I want to demonstrate something here. So this motor I removed. This is an original condition. I have not opened this up, and I don't think anybody else has. There's no cogging. The magnet is extremely weak. I can spin this freely, and it doesn't even feel like there's magnetic lobing in there. Let's see if it will spin when I hook up power to it. Barely, it barely turns, and it has like 0 torque. So I'm going to just stick this extra neodymium magnet on the top, and I'll see if I can get it oriented correctly. That's not it. Okay, just by setting the magnet on top of there, you can see the motor took off a lot more powerful. So there's a couple things that I had to do to get this mechanism operating again. One of which was the original magnet was just completely out of magnetism, and I don't have the tool to remagnetize those, but I have a nice strong neodymium magnet which I was able to install. And these motors, they don't quite sit perfectly flat into, but there's the screws actually keep the magnet from touching the armature, so it works out pretty good this way. And then it's important to make sure that the magnet is oriented correctly so that the engine goes forward when the controller says go forward. Otherwise you have to turn the magnet around. There was 2 other things I had to do. One thing was to clean out the gears were full of old grease and dried up oil. Oil that was just a little bit of light oil is all it really needed. The last thing that needed to be done is, you can't really see it, but Lionel used what I call a cheat. They actually, so there's a lot of play in this motor by the nature of its design, and when it's going forward, it'll pull the shaft out a little bit like that, and that'll also push the axles back and forth side to side here in the frame. So what Lionel did is they actually put springs on each of the sides here and here, and then on the other side there. So when it goes forward, the axles get pushed over just a little bit to the one side, and those 2 springs were compressed a lot further. So what I did was I pulled all the springs out, and I actually just kind of re-stretched them, and then I put the better springs on this side so that when it goes forwards, it has a little bit of spring return so that it doesn't jam up the mechanism. After all that, it is done and actually runs pretty good. We'll go test this out a little bit later. Next thing to do is to replace the drive belts on these 2 Alco FAs. The shells pop off real easy. You just spread the sides open just a little bit, and then you should be good to go to get in. So what we'll do is I'm going to remove these shafts. That way we can get access to these screws. And these pull off a little bit like that. So they just pop out of the rubber tubing like that. And then we have our motor here. So, and then the trucks are held on by 1 screw on each side. We'll kind of just do a demo of the belt replacement here. I don't think these have ever been opened. They're really tight. Now, okay, our screw's stuck up under there. The other thing what I need to do, I think it'll be easier just to unsolder it. You won't necessarily have to unsolder it to get the belt. There we go. All right, the next step to do is to pop these two plastic clips off the axle. This one and this one. And then the sort of truck shaft here will come out. Yeah, these are really gummed up. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take these all the way apart and clean the grease off of them so that they'll function better. And then we'll begin to reassemble it. So we need to pop these clips off so that the belt pulley, the new belt, can be installed around it. These old plastics are a little brittle. They don't want to come apart easy. There we go. We have one removed, and we'll do the other one. All right, so we have the little plastic clips off. Now we can remove our shaft. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to clean up the shaft and clean up the gears, and then we'll come back when I'm ready to put the new belt on. Okie dokie. Now that the parts of the locomotive drive are cleaned, we can go ahead and start reassembling. So what we'll need is these locomotive drive belts. Sometimes you can use those elastic hair bands that are about this size from Walmart, but these are just as good. I think they're not terribly expensive, and they do last longer than standard rubber bands. So what we're going to need is one each. Okay, we've got our rubber bands and our cleaned up parts. All you do is slide the rubber band around the pulley, and then basically reassemble everything. Okay, so we can do that, and then we'll take two snaps. All right, so one truck is ready to go back in the frame, and we'll just repeat that for both and then put everything back together. Okay, our two trucks are assembled, and now all we have to do is set them back on the frame. So we need to make sure that we get the rubber bands, and these need to be situated on top of. So basically you need to get the rubber band so that it will fit around, or it's not on the underside of this. All right, and then we can screw down the trucks. Yeah. And we can install the shaft. So this part, we have to make sure, get the rubber band up like that. And then just gonna kind of pop the rubber band around it like that. All right, now it's sitting, and then just make sure that the rubber band is situated into the pulley like that. And that is it. So I'm just gonna repeat that on the front truck here, and we should be able to test this locomotive out. All right, let's test out these Lionel locomotives that have been in for repair. First, we're going to do some delivery work with the Hustler locomotive. We've got two loads to deliver. We've got some bridge supports, and we've got the radioactive waste. In between, we have the chickens, and those are going to be some giant chickens because they are close to the radioactive car. On the other side of the layout, the bridge is out. So I have to do a little bit of repair work here, but wait, let's get that load of bridge supports over to the bridge, and let's see how this little Hustler locomotive can do. Well, the other way around. Not bad. Fun fact, These supports that are on this flat car are actually manufactured by Lionel. I didn't realize that those were the Lionel HO bridge supports. I'm not sure what the hurry is. Radioactive waste shouldn't be moved that fast. You should always handle it with care. The Lionel Special, Texas Special ABBA set has been serviced and is ready to run. We're pulling a complete lineup of Lionel HO scale cars, including the nuclear waste car that I also serviced and installed a new light bulb. Let's see how these locomotives pull this train around.